Hello everyone, welcome to another video. So in this video, we'll be looking at the functions. What are functions? Why do we need functions? What are arguments? What are parameters? And why and we'll see how we will implement functions. We'll create some of the code, we'll create some of the functions, we'll return some of the values, we'll create void functions, we'll look at the parameters, what are the different ways of like using parameters within a functions, how we can link to functions, how functions are interdependent to each other, all of these things. And in the last video, we saw the conditional as well as the iterative loops. We saw how to use if function, if else, else if, and else, how to do conditions, how to do comparison between two functions, how to do iteration, how to create loop, how to use for loop, how to create a while loop, do while, and what was the basic difference between while, for, and do while. What was the main difference between do while, why we use for, and in what cases we use while, and similarly why we used if again, if again, and then similarly we compared it with if, then else if, and else, and we saw the difference with those. So in this video, let's start with the functions. Okay, so what are functions? So functions are like group of codes. In the easiest language, I would like to say that. But if talking about like functions are the fundamental building blocks in programming. And Dart is no exception. So functions are not the special thing about Dart. In every programming language, whether you talk about C, C++, whether it is Golang, whether it is C Sharp. So in all these programming languages, functions are there. Okay, so there is no special definition of functions, especially for Dart. That is no exception. Now let's dive into what functions are and why we use them. So a function is a set of statements that are grouped together to perform a specific task. The functions can take inputs, known as parameters, and return an output, known as return value. Okay, so functions is like a machine in which we are giving some inputs and it is providing outputs. So taking inputs, giving output, taking input, giving outputs. So functions is when if talking from the above picture, it's like a box which is like requesting some of the inputs and giving some of the outputs according to its configurations. Okay. And now why do we actually use functions? So there are various reasons why we use functions. So first of all, it's functions allow you to break down a large program into a smaller manageable pieces or modules. Okay, so this makes the code easier to read, understand, and maintain. And one important thing about functions is reusability. Okay, so once a function is defined, it can be used multiple times throughout a program or even in the other programs. Okay, this avoids code duplication and promotes reusability. So reusability is the most important feature of using functions. Okay, then functions abstract away the details of their implementation. So what happens, like when you use a function, you don't need to know how it works internally, as I was already mentioning this. You just need to know its inputs and inputs like parameters and what it returns. Okay, so sometimes you don't need to see like how it works internally. You just need to know its inputs and what it returns and like sound. And it's easy for testing. Like functions make it easier to test individual pieces of programs. Each function can be tested independently, ensuring that each part of a program works correctly. Okay, the functions can take parameters, allowing you to customize their behavior. This means you can write a single function and that can be used in many different scenarios. Okay, The functions help organize code by grouping related statements together. Okay, and this makes it easier to locate and modify related pieces of code. A function introduce their own scope, which can be useful for managing the lifetime of variables. Variables defined within a function exist only for the duration of that function's execution. Okay, I know these things are not easy to understand, but when we will write the code, when which we are going to do right now, when we will actually write the code, and I'll explain all of these points line by line. Okay, where we are uh, avoiding reusability, where it helps in how it helps in code redundancy, all of those things. So without taking much further time, let's start with the VS Code. So open in terminal because I don't have that option of VS Code opening directly by doing the right click. So I usually go with the opening it on the terminal first and then writing code because this is how I usually do in my Linux operating system. So it's like a habit that I usually follow. So let's start with creating a file by the name tutorial.v2.dart. Okay. Now, yeah, first of all, void main is that. So this is the starting of our program. Now let's see how to create a function. Okay. So first of all, I'll give you a demo. Okay, why we are needing function. Okay, just suppose that what we want to do is we want to call a single line. We want a magician who just like print something, okay, or I mean add something. Okay, so basically what we will do like we add like we have int a equals to 5, then we have b equals to 6, we have like int add equals to a plus b. Okay, then I'll print add. Now let us run this program. So it's giving an output 11. Okay, now once again I'll have something like this when c equals to 9, 9, and int b equals to 11. And once again I'll say and add equals to c. Now I don't need to like introduce add again and again. I've already told you like int add is an int type data type. Add, let's say c plus b, done. And similarly, like let's see the output. Okay, so the first sum was 11, and similarly 11 plus 9 is 20. Now my friend said, okay, these two numbers are fine. Now I want to add one more thing. So what I will have to follow is I'll create a variable integer type. I'll give number 67 or something like this. I'll similarly create one more number like 56, and I'll say okay, I'll add these numbers and 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 then I'll show my friend, okay, I am very genius. I'm doing this, and this is the output. So I told him that I did a lot of hard work. I write the code and then I added it, then I printed it, then once again I added the code. Then I added it, printed it, added it, printed it. So I'll say, oh, I've done a lot of work. Now my friends say, okay, now add two more numbers. Now I'm frustrated, okay, because all of the time I have to, like, first of all initialize two variables, then I have to add them and print them. Then I'll show it to my friend, and my friend is like stupid and say once again add two no add two more numbers. So now I'm like frustrated. Why I am doing this? Why am I adding this? So I want Doraemon. So I want a creature like Doraemon. I'll say it. Okay, I'll give you two number and you do some magic. You use some gadgets and give me the output of this. Okay. And once my friend again asks me, these are two numbers and add it. Once again, I'll ask Doraemon to take out the gadgets and give the out. Okay. So I know I don't have Doraemon, but I have a gadget called functions. So what I will do is I'll comment all of these lines. Now I'll say to my friend, okay, I have a function. Okay. Function that is like, which is int type. Okay. And I'll give the function name Doraemon, which takes two numbers. Okay. Two numbers that my friend is talking, like saying again. These are the two numbers. Add those two. Add those two numbers. So these are two numbers. Okay. Okay. No. Yeah. That's not. No worries. This is the function that I've created. Okay. Now I'll say return a plus. That's it. This is my Doraemon. Instead of typing it again and again, I have created a function called Doraemon is using a gadget and it's returning the value. Now this is my friend. My friend will say, okay, no worries. I don't care about your gadget. Just I'm giving you two numbers and give me the output. So I'll say, well, oh, so I'll ask him, okay, give me those numbers. So he wants to give like 5, 6. He's giving me 5 and 6. So I'll call my friend Doraemon. I'll say, Doraemon, the two numbers that my friend has provided is 5 and 6. Cool. Do it. Okay. And then I'll run the program. Okay. Okay. And I've not printed this. Okay. So what I will say, uh, create a variable. Okay. Since it will return an integer value, I'll say int, this is a sum. Okay. Variable. And I'll print sum. That's it. I'll run the program. Here you go. 11. See how this magic happens? So we are using a gadget called function. So no matter what my friends say, they'll say, okay, I don't care. These are two numbers, 11 and 9. I run it. I'll give it the output. I'll say, no worries. I have to just click on this number. Instead of writing these four lines, I have to just click on this run option. Here's the output 20. You can see how much important the function is. And this is the function. This is the function. Easy, easiest thing to do. Very easy thing to do. I don't have to write. This is like how we can say code reusability, redundancy. Okay, when the function is defined, it can be run multiple times throughout the program. Through like it can be run as much as you want, even throughout a program or even in other programs also. So this is avoiding the code duplication. Okay. So at first time when I was frustrated, now I'm happy. These are how things are going to done. So now you see how much helpful the functions are. Okay. All I need to do was like create a function and I have to. This is like the black box. This is like the magic. This is like the gadget. This is like the Doraemon who's giving us the output. I know this might be like pretty easy stuff for some of the students, but still, keeping once again in mind that some of the guys who have enrolled or girls who have enrolled are new to programming language and this is their first programming language. In that sense, I am like I'm teaching you in this way. Okay, this is the easiest job to do, and I love teaching them. And that's all. So yeah, this is the thing. Now we'll see. Okay, similarly, how we are like defining the data type to a variable. Okay, sum is the variable, and we're defining like this is int. So the sum value that we'll get is integer. Similarly, functions are also of a data type like integer. This means the return that will the output, the magic that is creating, the output that is creating to this sum will be integer type. Okay. If I wanted it to be a string type, then I would have written with a string. Okay. I've written string. But this is not possible because a plus b are two. We are adding two of the numbers. Okay. If what we have done, what should we have done? Okay. Return a. We take the input a. And here we have taken graph. Okay. And here instead of integer because now the data type here of the function is string. Now the output, the value that it is returning, okay, the value that it is returning is also a string type. Okay, so I'll say here, see, and it's saying, okay, now integer, instead of integer, I'll say, I mean, you can still go for this. Let's take the number, what can we take? 3 only, but in the return, I'll say, while returning, I'll return a string instead of an integer. So I'll return Rahul. See, let's run this command. Rahul has been printed. Okay, no matter what the parameter is, what it is calling for, we are returning a string. That is what the important thing is. We are returning the string, and it is returned like string. It is the returned value is assigned to this variables, and at the end we are printing this. See how much easy it is. And if you'll see, like let's take string. I don't want something that is returned by me, by the function, by Doraemon. I want myself to give the orders. Okay. And this is given by Doraemon itself. But I'm asking Doraemon what to print. I'll say instead of here, I'll give my name, Rahul. And instead of integer, I'll take string. And instead of Rahul, I'll take, sorry. See, that's right. Rahul. Okay. If you want to add one more thing, like even in the functions, when you're calling a function, you can print something. Okay. Printing doesn't depend on the data type. Okay. Even if your function is void, that I will tell you how to make a void function, you can print anything, whether it's like your function is string type, whether it's like integer type. Okay. No matter what the data type of the function is, you can print anything, regardless of what the data type of the function is. Okay. I'll print your name is. Okay. And why I am writing this above? Because if I would have written it downside, you can see how the color is like this. Because this doesn't make any sense. The return is the ending of the function. Once it has returned, whether we write anything, it doesn't make any sense. It won't show anything. It won't print anything. Okay, because return tells you that this is the end of the function. It tells you about that. Okay, so return is there. So no matter what you write below it, it won't make any sense. Not any sense. Okay, return is the ending of the function. Like void main is the starting of the program. Return is the ending of the functions. Okay, so I'll say like this. Let's save this. Cool. See, your name is Rahul. Similarly, if I'm like giving something else, I'm saying your name is your name is your name is Sincha. Okay, your name is Sincha. Easiest thing. Okay, how you can see how easy it is. This is writing a programming language is like the easiest thing you can do. Okay, now let's see one more thing. We'll also see like how two functions can be dependent to each other. How we can take the input from one function and give that output to the other function. Okay, so we'll take you through the stages. But right now, you all you need to understand is this. So this is how it is done. And if there's some other user, okay, so you want you to print this. Let's see whether it prints like this or not. Doraemon. Instead of Doraemon, I'll say no. Okay. Now I'm not giving any value to this variable. I can directly run it from here also. Okay. See, your name is Sinchan, your name is Nobita. How much helpful this is. There is no need to write the code again and again. No need to write code again and again. Print. All you need to know is Doraemon. And also you can copy this line. Hmm? And Shizuka. I guess I'm writing the correct spelling. Your name is Sinchan, your name is Nobita, your name is Shizuka. So earlier what I was doing, I was writing the add again and again. I was taking two variables and then I was adding it, then I was printing it. Now all I need to do is a single statement. And this Doraemon using its gadget is just doing magic, doing wonders. Okay, this is how functions are helpful. Let's talk more about functions. Let's comment. Sorry, let's comment out this part. Okay. Now, what we can do, and function name can be anything, just like the variable name, we assign it anything according to our user's choice. Similarly, this function name can be anything. Instead of Doraemon, you can write Shinchanware. Okay. Now, similarly, we have seen it can be int type. It can be it can be like it can be double type, which means it can return a value, a floating value. Similarly, it can be a Boolean type. It can give the returned value as true or false. Okay, it can be anything. And since you can see here the function is void, similarly, we can write a void function too. But at that case, this return will be giving an error. Okay, because in void function it doesn't return anything. So what we need to do is comment this out. Comment this out. Because void function is mainly known as like it doesn't return anything. Now, if the function type is integer, whether it's string, whether it's decimal, that is double, whether it's Boolean type, then it will have to return a similar thing. It will have to return a return value of a similar data type. Now, since it's void, it doesn't have to return anything. And even in this function, like void main, we don't return anything. So how we can use this void function? Just print something out and do the calculation. No worries. Just print something out that my name is this, my name is this. Returning a value is not necessary at that time. Okay. Sometimes we call a function just to do something, just to do some calculation. No matter whether you print it out or whether you return it out or not. Okay. So now what we can do, we can write another function that that's prints the table. Okay. Let's do the multiplication like the tables of two. Two ones are two, two twos are two, four, two threes are six. Let's write that function. Okay. Now what we can do is instead of Doraemon, I will say table. In tables, instead of string, I'll ask for a number. Like I want the tables of 2, I want the tables of 4, I want the tables of 14, I want the tables of 1 lakh, I want the tables of 2 million. Okay, but for sometimes for larger number, we'll have to use big int. Okay, good. Now, what we can do? Okay, I'll give a number. Okay, I'll say tables, whether you return a value or anything. I'll call the table and I want the table of 50. Okay. I'll say, okay, Doraemon, no man, I don't care what you wanted to do. I want the tables of 50. Okay. So I'll like I'm the Doraemon right now. Okay, I want to do the magic. I am the one who is creating the gadget. So I'll say, okay, I'll take a number, I'll do one thing, I'll create a table. So whether I do like print a multiply by one, that is the output. Similarly, whether I can do print a multiply by 2, so 15 to the 30, it will give the output. But I know that I am smart. I've already learned for loops. I've already seen how to do iterations. And so I'll create a for loop. Instead of writing this print a 10 times, I'll write a single statement and it will multiply itself for the 10 times. Okay. So why don't I create a for loop? Okay. For int I equals to 0 to I is not 0. Let's start from 1. But two ones are 2. We'll start from 1. I is less than equals to 10. Most tables we usually go for 10 times. And I'll say I plus plus. Okay, that's it. And I'll say create a for loop. I'll say let's print it. Print mm, the value of range dollar a. A will be the number. Let's see multiply by dollar I, which will take the value of I equals to a into I. So say dollar a into sorry, not like this. I'll create a number here, okay. I'll create int product that will do a into I. I. Okay. And instead of this, I'll take the product. Cool. I'll do it down. Okay. So it will take first time what it will take like one into this and this to this. Okay. So I know there's still some problem in the code, but this is like the rough code that we can see, we can expect. Okay, okay. So this is like basic program what you can do. I mean I can do we can do some of the modification itself. Like so for the first time product doesn't give any other garbage value, so we can assign some of the values like this, like that. But yeah, this is like the basic program that we can go for right now. Okay. Now let's run this program. We are expecting the table of 15. Okay. See how this magic happens. 15 ones are 15, 15 twos are 30, 15 threes are 45, 15 fours are 60s, 15 times are 150. And how you can assume how easy it is to write program. How easy. Similarly, I'll say, okay, now do the tables of do the tables of two. Really do the tables of what do we call it? 340, this number, whatever it is. Okay. Oh, we don't need to write again and again for the other value for integer a. We just code reusability, code reusability. This is how function helps. See, everything is done by this function. This function is like real life Doraemon. Okay, 15, 30, two stable are there, 2, 3, 5, 7. So you can assume how fast programming is. And and also the speed of this output depends upon your programming language, which programming language execution speed is faster, which one is the fastest, and also what type of device you have, what type of processor you are using on. So it depends on several things. Right now, this is like 16 GB RAM. And also, i7 processor, i7 generation 12. So this is like how it happens. Okay, so this is how we write a function. Like this was the pretty basic function. Just to write the table. We are just writing the tables. Now let's do one thing. Let's create more than one function. How about that? Okay. So we'll just comment this out once again. Okay. Now let's do something interesting. Okay. Now let's give an input to a function, and whatever it returns, we'll use that returned value as an input for the other function. Okay. This way we can say like two functions are interdependent on each other. Mainly like the second function is dependent on the first function. Okay. Things like this, interesting things like this. So I'll say I'll make a function like, and let us give some value to this. Okay. So we can say we can print a normal name of guy. Okay, what about that? So I'll create a function. I'll give a function. Okay, I'll create a function. String. It will return string. Name. Name. I'll give a string. Give. This is the name of function. And like we can make a parameter. Okay, so whatever inside this function is parameter. Okay, this is name is a parameter. So it's expecting a value. This is parameter. And whatever value we are giving, like in this case, tables, like for tables, this was the parameter view, and the exact value that we were giving is the argument. Okay, so when you are defining a function, at that time which you are writing in this parenthesis is the parameter, and the value that is exact value that you are giving to this function is called an argument. Okay, so this is a parameter. So this will return name. Okay, then we can create another function which will like which will be void, and it will be like printing name. Okay, printing name. We want an argument. We want a string. Okay, string. Say whether you want to write name itself. The both the functions can have the same because every function has its own range. So once the work of name is done, this function doesn't have any idea about what this name is. So for him, this name is completely new. And even though all the values depend on this argument, what value you are giving to it. So this name and this name won't give any contradiction, okay? Because this is a range of function. So anything happening outside this this curly bracket, this function has no idea about. Similarly, everything that is happening inside this this curly brackets, the function knows about this thing only. And this is like the outer world. This is like another galaxy for it. Okay. Even though this two planet can be interdependent on each other, but this is like another different world for them. They are not, they don't have any idea like what's happening outside. Okay. They are in their own world. Now it will basically print honey. Okay. If you don't want name it to be here, so let's name, 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 whatever you call it. Okay. So we'll do all the things inside this main, like passing the argument. Everything will be done inside this main function. Okay, because main execution is happening here. So once you will write write this, you'll give the arguments. Then only these functions will be run executed. Then only these functions will be working. Okay, otherwise they are just defined functions. We are not using. In most of the cases, like when you are in the development phase, even in a company, what happens like some of the functions they don't really use because those functions are for like just for testing purpose, or maybe like there's like a future features that they want to add. They've not added into the code, but they have just created the functions. Okay, so yeah, that's it. So let's firstly give parameters to this function. Give name. I'll give it a Rahul. Okay, and whatever value it returns, either we can do one thing. So there are two ways of writing something. Either we string a equals to this a will get the return value, and then we will pass this a to the printing function. Sorry, okay. Either you write this way or either. So let's first see the output. Okay, what the output is. It prints down. You can see how this function is depending on this function for the argument for the parameter. See the output, the return value that we got from here, we give it to the this a variable, and then we are passing this a variable as an argument for this function. Okay, so sometimes like even in like the company when you create a program, we see like some function is giving error because not changing the value because it was dependent on other functions and those two functions are not working properly. So how can this function be working properly, right? Because it is completely dependent on other functions and maybe other functions are dependent on other functions. So maybe those other functions are not working properly. So you can see how a chain, just because a single function was not working, now 10 more functions are not working because of that single function. So this is how it works, right? So I told you that like either you write this way or you simply do printing name. Inside this you say give name, let's give it Rahul. Correct? And do this then. Rahul, see how easy, once again, how easy it is. How you can play with these things. They are nothing, they are like toys. This function is like magic box. A magic box, it's like a magic tree that is like so easy to learn. This is like what the actual definition of function I would say. A magic tree that is easy to learn. Still, it do wonders for those who don't know how to perform this magic trick. It does wonders for them. But the one who is performing it, like us, we know how easy the trick was. So see how easy it is to write a function, how to depend on a function, how it creates an abstraction, how parameterization is done, how it helps in growing, organizing code, grouping related in statements together. Scope, it has variables, it has parameters, and it is argument. Now for this printing media, this complete thing is an argument. The value that has been returned by this is the complete argument for this. This is like an overall picture of how function is, what is a function. Okay. And similarly, you can create complex function, like like pretty complex function. These are like the easiest thing. The easy thing is that these are the easiest thing. And even writing a complex function is also an easy thing. You don't really much do of that. You must perform much of the things. And because inside every function we have if, we have else, we have for loop. And most of the times they will use a data structure, certain types of data structure, and even also the start as list, maps, hash map, something like this. Okay, we'll cover that in the next video. We'll cover list and other data structure in the next video. But I'm just telling like what happens in a function. So these are the syntax only. And throughout building a project, throughout your job, throughout your when you're creating your product, throughout your when you're creating your application, you have to write these lines only. That's it. Nothing else. So you can see how easy it is. See, that's it. Only 4 lines of code and it is performing its things. It is performing, it is compiling, it is creating a bytecode. The bytecode is like then interpreted by this JIT compiler. JIT compiler is giving the output. That's it. Everything is very easy, you know. So yeah, that's it for today's video. Today's video on functions, how functions work, how parameters, what are parameters, arguments. Let's just make a notes. Okay. Functions, introduction. I will use functions. Why we use functions? And we have what is it? Code creation of a function, table function created to functions. That's it. That's all we did. So yeah, that was it for today's videos. See you again in the next video. Thanks.